What if I told you that the financial reset millions have been waiting for is no longer a matter of if, but a matter of when, and that when is now? According to the latest breaking reports from Frank26 and corroborated by a cascade of insider information, the long-anticipated revaluation of the Iraqi Dinar and the Vietnamese Dong has officially, and irrevocably, begun. This isn't just another rumor circulating in the depths of online forums, this is the tangible, seismic shift in the global financial landscape that we have been anticipating for years, and it signals the dawn of a new era for currency holders and international investors alike. The gates, as they say, are finally opening, and the first waves of this monetary tsunami are already being felt in the corridors of power within central banks and the secure, hushed meeting rooms of top-tier financial institutions. The core of this earth-shattering update revolves around the release of new, updated exchange rates for both the IQD and VND, rates that are not based on hopeful speculation but on the concrete foundations of Iraq's completed monetary reforms and Vietnam's explosive economic growth, which has positioned it as a dominant manufacturing and technological hub with a currency fundamentally undervalued for decades. Imagine the implications of this single event. We are talking about a coordinated revaluation that will rebalance the global economic playing field, transferring immense wealth from the traditional reserve currencies to these newly empowered nations and, most importantly, to the individuals who had the foresight and the patience to invest in their potential. The intelligence we are receiving suggests that the initial rates are far more substantial than many conservative forecasts had predicted, designed to instantly correct the historical undervaluation and project the true economic strength and sovereign integrity of both Iraq and Vietnam onto the world stage. This means that the numbers you are about to hear are not the final, post-RV rates that will stabilize over time, but the initial, powerful launch values intended to send a shockwave through the forex markets and establish a new paradigm for international trade in foreign reserve assets. The process is being managed with extreme precision to avoid catastrophic market volatility, with a phased release strategy ensuring that the global financial system can absorb this change without collapsing, a testament to the years of clandestine planning between the U.S. Treasury, the International Monetary Fund, and the respective central banks of Iraq and Vietnam. This is the culmination of the project to delete the zeros we have followed for so long, now in its final, executable phase, with the new lower denomination notes already being distributed to financial institutions, ready to be activated for public exchange. The chatter from Wells Fargo, Chase, and Bank of America is no longer speculative, it is operational, with dedicated desks being staffed by trained personnel who have undergone weeks of confidential briefing on the specific procedures for handling what they are internally calling the sovereign currency transition event. These bankers are not just ready, they are on standby, awaiting the final public notification which could come in the form of a simultaneous press release from the Central Bank of Iraq and the State Bank of Vietnam, an event that is expected to trigger a media frenzy unlike anything we have seen in the financial world since the advent of the euro. The timing, as per our sources, is intricately linked to the completion of Iraq's international obligations and the finalization of their government formation, removing the last vestiges of political risk that have previously been a drag on the currency's value, while Vietnam's timing is strategically aligned with its new status as a leading global supply chain partner, necessitating a strong currency to facilitate its massive and growing trade surplus. We are, effectively, witnessing the birth of two new reserve currencies. And for you, the investor who has held on through years of uncertainty, this is the moment where your faith is converted into tangible, life-altering wealth. The numbers being discussed behind closed doors are transformative, values that will not only allow these nations to pay down their sovereign debt with ease but will also empower every single currency holder to achieve a level of financial freedom that was once a distant dream. This is the historical pivot point, the event that separates the old economic world from the new, and you are not just an observer, you are a participant positioned at the very forefront of this change. The silence from the mainstream media is deafening because they are deliberately being kept in the dark to prevent a premature, destabilizing global bank run on these currencies, but the information flowing through our channels is undeniable and points towards a public announcement that is imminent, potentially within days, not weeks. Now, let's cut through the noise and delve into the verifiable market data and bank readiness that transforms this from a compelling rumor into an impending financial reality, because understanding the mechanics behind this shift is what will separate the prepared from the panicked when the gates finally swing wide open. The rumored exchange rates, which are circulating with increasing consistency among top Forex insiders and economic analysts with direct lines to the Gulf and Southeast Asia, point to an initial revaluation for the Iraqi dinar that is poised to shatter all previous expectations, establishing a rate that reflects the nation's true oil-backed wealth and its newly cemented position as a sovereign and stable economic partner on the global stage. Simultaneously, the Vietnamese Dong is expected to undergo a similarly dramatic reappraisal, with a new value that accurately captures the staggering growth of its GDP, its dominance in electronics and textile manufacturing, and its strategic importance in the global supply chain, a value that will instantly legitimize it as a major Asian currency powerhouse. This isn't happening in a vacuum. It's the direct result of Iraq finally satisfying the final benchmark set forth by the International Monetary Fund, including the successful demonetization of the old currency, the full integration of their electronic banking systems with the global SWIFT network, and the complete resolution of outstanding Chapter 7 issues, which have acted as an anchor on their economy for decades. For Vietnam, the trigger is its astronomical trade surplus with the United States and Europe, a surplus that creates immense, unsustainable pressure for its currency to strengthen, pressure that the State Bank of Vietnam can no longer and will no longer suppress, choosing instead to harness this economic momentum for a great national leap forward. The confirmation from Tier 1 banks like Wells Fargo and Chase is not just about having the physical currency on hand, it's about their systems being fully updated to process transactions at these new rates, with internal memos explicitly detailing the procedures for large-scale exchanges, wealth management transitions, and the establishment of new private banking relationships for what they anticipate will be a massive influx of newly liquid clients. These institutions have quietly been building their reserves of both currencies for months, anticipating a directive from the Federal Reserve and the Treasury Department to begin public conversions, a directive that is now considered imminent based on the alignment of key economic indicators and the cessation of all previous delaying tactics from various international stakeholders. The global financial shift is intrinsically linked to the move away from a petrodollar system towards a more multipolar currency world, and the revaluation of the IQD and VND represents a critical step in this grand strategy, creating two strong, regionally dominant currencies that can facilitate trade in their respective parts of the world without total reliance on the US dollar. Economic analysts who have staked their reputations on this event point to the unprecedented quiet on the forex markets regarding the dinar and dong, a calm that they interpret not as inactivity but as the final, breathless pause before a storm of historic proportions, with all major trading algorithms recalibrated and waiting for the green light. The liquidity to support these new values is not in question, as it will be backed by the full faith and credit of nations sitting atop trillions of dollars in natural resources and human capital, with sovereign wealth funds standing ready to stabilize the currencies during the initial, volatile trading period. The process you will follow at your bank has been meticulously designed to be as seamless as possible, involving an appointment with a designated financial representative who will verify your currency notes, process the exchange at the official, new international rate, and then immediately transition into a conversation about asset preservation, investment strategies, and legacy planning, because the banks see this as a once-in-a-generation opportunity to acquire high-net-worth clients for life. This entire orchestrated event is a testament to the power of geopolitical and economic realignment, proving that the world's financial architecture is not static but is a living, evolving system that can be reshaped by national ambition and strategic planning, and we are all witnesses to this monumental change. The information blackout from mainstream financial news is a deliberate and necessary component of this operation, designed to prevent a chaotic, global speculative frenzy that could destabilize the entire process before it is officially launched by the sovereign nations at the heart of it. So when you walk into your bank and present your currency, you are not just conducting a simple exchange, you are participating in the final, public phase of a decades-long project to recalibrate global wealth and empower nations and their citizens, a project that is now, undeniably, reaching its spectacular conclusion. The readiness is absolute, the data is irrefutable, and the final piece of the puzzle is simply the official public announcement, which according to every source we trust, is now on the immediate horizon, ready to redefine the meaning of wealth for a global community of investors. So, what do you do when the announcement finally breaks across every news ticker and smartphone screen in the world, because this is the moment where knowledge must transform into immediate and decisive action to secure the future you have tirelessly waited for. The initial hours and days following the official public notification of the revaluation will be a whirlwind of activity, emotion, and opportunity, and your ability to navigate this period with a clear, premeditated strategy will be the ultimate determinant of your long-term financial success and stability. Your first and most critical step is to remain calm and disciplined, avoiding the temptation to rush to your bank the very second the news breaks. Instead, take a deep breath and refer to the detailed plan you should have already prepared, a plan that includes a list of your designated Tier 1 bank contacts, the exact location of your currency holdings, and a clear hierarchy of your financial priorities post-exchange. Remember, the banks are prepared for this, they have been trained for this eventuality, and they have the liquidity and procedures in place to handle your transaction efficiently, but their capacity will be stretched, which is why having a pre-scheduled appointment, if possible, or a clear understanding of your bank's specific process will save you hours of frustration and uncertainty. When you arrive for your exchange, you will be dealing with a trained financial specialist, not a regular teller, and this individual will guide you through the verification process of your currency notes, confirm the official, locked-in exchange rate for that day, and execute the conversion of your dinar or dong into US dollars, at which point your reality will have permanently and profoundly shifted. The number that appears on that screen, representing your new financial standing, will be life-changing, but it is at this precise moment that the most important phase of your journey begins, because the management of this new capital is a responsibility that carries far greater weight than the simple act of acquiring it. This is not the time for impulsive purchases or listening to unvetted investment advice from newfound friends and distant relatives. This is the time for deliberate, thoughtful, and strategic financial stewardship, beginning with the immediate placement of your funds into secure, FDIC-insured accounts while you assemble your team of trusted professionals. You must, without delay, engage a fee-based financial advisor, a certified public accountant, and a reputable estate planning attorney, a trio of experts who will help you shield your wealth from taxes, structure a sustainable investment portfolio for generational income, and establish trusts or other legal entities to protect your assets for your heirs. The psychological impact of sudden wealth is a force that cannot be underestimated, and it is imperative that you ground yourself in your core values and long-term vision, using this resource not merely for personal luxury but as a tool to create lasting security for your family, to support causes you are passionate about, and to build a legacy that extends far beyond your own lifetime. Be wary of the countless schemes and requests for money that will inevitably come your way. True wealth is not about the ability to spend, but the power to choose, the freedom to wake up every day and decide how you will use your time and resources without being answerable to a boss or a clock. This revaluation is more than a financial event, it is a key that unlocks a door to a different way of living, a world where your potential is no longer limited by financial constraints and your focus can shift from survival to significance, from making a living to making a difference. The global economic landscape has been permanently altered, and you are now an active participant in this new paradigm, with the resources to influence your community and the world in a positive and meaningful way. The patience and faith you have demonstrated for years have now been rewarded, and the responsibility that comes with this reward is to manage it with wisdom, grace, and a profound sense of purpose. This is your moment, the culmination of a journey of belief, and the beginning of a new chapter defined by freedom, opportunity, and the power to leave a mark on the world that will endure for generations. Therefore, take this information, internalize it, and prepare yourself not just for a financial transaction, but for a complete and total life transformation, because the world is about to change, and you are ready to meet it from a position of unprecedented strength and possibility.